Good morning. My name is Tarmo Kalvet, and I'm from the Institute of Baltic Studies, a think tank in Estonia. And I want to welcome you to this seminar. The seminar is on green growth opportunities and experiences of Germany. And we find this topic particularly interesting and important in today's challenging times. Because the green transition is, on the one hand, it is a major area of investment and a significant capital cost area. But at the same time, it is also an opportunity for companies and entrepreneurs who specialize in production of clean technology goods, or low carbon technology goods as we call them in our project. And the project is titled Data-Driven Roadmaps for Catalyzing Green Growth, and it is co-funded by the European Climate Initiative and the German government. And what we do in this project is we undertake a global trend analysis. We develop an analytical trade dashboard that advises on export opportunities, especially in low carbon technology goods. And we prepare scenarios and roadmaps for boosting the production of low carbon technology goods. And we do that in the cooperation with the stakeholder communities. And we focus on some specific countries in this project. We focus on Estonia, Bulgaria, and Romania. And we do this kind of analysis and road mapping exercise and scenario development for those countries. But then also we have our German partner who is sharing their experiences regarding green transition. And today's seminar is about the German experience. And I'm very happy to have here Dr. Sven Kunze from Fraunhofer Institute for Systems and Innovation Research, ISI. And he specializes in environmental economics and development economics, and he's well positioned to explain how Germany has become one of the major strongholds in the world in this industry. Sven, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you very much. Also from my side for coming to this presentation. Here you can see the outline of today. So first, as Mike already mentioned, we talk about the German experience. How can the German success in low carbon technologies be explained? And then we open up the floor for a discussion about what can be learned from the German experience and is it applicable to Bulgaria, Estonia, and Romania? Yeah, let us start with the German experience. Let me first ask the question, is it worth investing in low carbon technologies? And if we look at this figure from the UN Trade and Development Organization, we can see that the global trade in solar energy and wind-related goods is accelerating and outpaces the growth in industrial goods by around 23%. So yes, I would argue it is worth investing in low carbon technologies. And in that respect, first movers shape technology designs and supply chains and can dominate global supply for years. So it is worth investing in low carbon technologies. And then the next question is, how is the German performance in this respect? And if we look at green tech exports, which are more than just renewable energy system, but all the sectors which are here in the figure to the right here, we can see that green tech export outpaced the overall German export growth since 2019, and in 2023, the German green tech export reached 132 billion euros, which corresponds to approximately 8.5% of total German exports. And I would say this is a very strong performance of low carbon technologies or green tech exports. And then the question is, how can this strong performance of the German green tech export industry be explained? And one possible explanation is the so-called lead market concept, which I will explain to you on the following slide. So the lead market concept was invented by Bayes in 2001, so it's a bit older, but still relevant. And the definition of a lead market is defined as a country that adopts an innovation that is subsequently adopted worldwide. And Bayes defines 5 factors, which he calls advantages, that can contribute to a lead market. And these factors are, firstly, the demand advantage, which is defined as a growing domestic demand, which is oriented towards innovations and supporting new technological solutions. Then we have the cost advantage, where domestic production achieves economies of scale, leading to cost reductions. And with thirdly, the export advantage, companies gain early mover advantages, making their products competitive abroad. And then within the transfer factor, the transfer advantage, regulation, standards, or technical norms spread internationally. And then the last factor contributing to the lead market concept, the market structure advantage, is characterized by strong local supply chains and cluster, which reinforce innovation and competitiveness. And within this theory, the German low carbon technologies, especially wind and photovoltaics, are prime examples for lead markets. And I will now walk you through these different factors in the next slides, and I will show you how these lead markets in wind and photovoltaics were initiated by domestic green growth policies in Germany. So there are 2 important policies which initiated this demand advantages. This were in 1991, the so-called FET-in Act, with the obligation to take electricity from renewable sources to the German market. So this was when this policy was first introduced. And then another policy in 2000, the Renewable Energy Sources Act, expanded this 1991 policy. And this is now important. It guaranteed technology-specific FET-in tariffs for long term, for 20 years, and had also priority grid access of renewable energies. And in consequence, renewable energies became the dominant energy source in Germany. So we see a massive expansion of renewable energies after 2000, after the initiation of the Renewable Energy Sources Act. And this is especially true for solar and wind energy. And in 2024, renewable energies reached a record share of more than 60% of the installed net electricity generation in Germany. So we can follow, consequently, Germany created a very large and predictable domestic market here. And as we have seen, this policy-driven deployment led to a global cost decline. So, for example, here in this figure, you see the PV installment globally and also the cost for PV installment. And we can see here 2 things. First is that Germany dominated the global photovoltaic installation. And we also see that the prices reduced massively between 1995 and 2014. So the reduction is around 84% here. So we can conclude that domestic policies helped to achieve cost leadership and enabled domestic producers to win foreign tenders. And then consequently, Germany became a top exporter in several low-carbon technologies. These technologies included wind-powered electric generators, static converters, including PV, electrical transformers, and heat pumps. And based on these numbers, we can conclude that Germany, as a first mover, scaled domestically its low-carbon technologies and then shaped international demand and captured foreign market share. And then for the next factor, we saw in the years 2000 till 2010 that the German patent tariff design became a template for many countries' support schemes. And so we see here that German policy ideas and standard diffused internationally, another factor for the lead market theory. And for the last lead market factor, the so-called market structure advantage, we can observe that within Germany, the creation of regional clusters around renewable energy deployment. So we have wind basically in northern Germany, then PV inverter industry in the middle in Hesse, and then grid technology in the south in Bavaria and Baden-Württemberg. And this development shows that Germany built a self-reinforcing industrial ecosystem for low-carbon technologies. So overall, we can see that Germany, in consequence of its role as a lead market, became an established actor in green tech innovations. And you can see here in this figure to the left that it ranks among the top 3 countries worldwide for green tech patents. And green tech is more than just renewable energy systems, but renewable energy systems makes the largest share of the green tech patents here. So let me conclude. What can we learn from the German experience? I try to pin that down to 5 factors. The first one is lead markets are built through long-term demand policies. So we had long-term policy targets and predictable instruments like these patent tariffs in Germany, which created a stable domestic market. Then we've seen that stable growth enabled learning effects and thereby reduced costs, also globally. And then the initial investment into new green technologies led to economic advantages in the long run. So photovoltaic and wind energy became competitive through mass implementation. Then next learning is that market growth built capabilities. So the domestic rollout created demand for installers, component suppliers, and engineering services, supporting export and innovation. And then the last point is a word of caution. So lead market status is dynamic. So Germany leads in some parts of the value chain, but not in all manufacturing segments. So it can change over time, of course. And then before coming to the discussion, maybe a question of how is Germany performing in recent years compared to other countries? So we have plotted here for you the so-called revealed comparative advantage of low carbon technologies. And this revealed comparative advantage, RCA, shows you how specialized a country is in the exports of certain goods. And if the number is above 1, it means a relative specialization, and below 1, it means the country is less specialized in these products. So Germany has a 1.9, so I would say it's still specialized in exporting low carbon technologies. But what about the other countries on which we want to talk about shortly? So Romania, for example, has 2.1. So the specialization is even higher than in Germany. Estonia has a 1.2, so I would say it's slightly specialized. And Bulgaria is a 0.9, so it's not yet specialized, but it's on the fence in low carbon technologies. And this now leads us to the discussion where we want to discuss with you what are transferable lessons from the German experience for your countries, and can the lead market concept also be applied to your countries? And what are missing main elements, if any?